Human Pathfinding: How We Navigate Choice. Flint West reporting. People like to think they make decisions. They do not. They arrive at them. By the time a human being says, "I decided," the decision has already happened. The body has leaned forward. The mind has crossed the line. Consciousness is just catching up, filing paperwork after the fact. That moment, the crossing, is the part everyone misses. There is a membrane between consideration and commitment, and humans cross it faster than they can observe it, not because they are irrational, but because they are running a system. Here is the mistake most frameworks make. They assume choice is about what is right, what is true, or what is optimal. It is not. Choice is about what keeps the most doors open. Human beings are not outcome optimizers. They are optionality maximizers. That single insight explains more about markets, persuasion, and personal failure than decades of moralizing ever could. Every human life can be modeled as a branching structure. Not a clean decision tree, but a probability-weighted one. Every past action constrains the present. Every present choice reshapes the future. And each branch is silently scored based on one variable. How much freedom does this preserve? Not freedom in the abstract. Freedom to maneuver, freedom to reverse, freedom to escape. Optionality. This is why prediction is possible without control. If you understand someone's past, their habits, constraints, identity, sunk costs, you can narrow the future down to a handful of viable branches. From there, you do not need certainty. You just need probabilities. And the branch with the highest probability is almost always the one that feels least committing while still offering upside. This is why the oracle in the Matrix was not mystical. She was not seeing the future. She was reading the tree. Neo had already made the choice. He was just there to understand why. Now let us get concrete. Markets are nothing more than millions of these trees interacting. Capital does not flow toward truth. It flows toward maneuverability. Cash beats long-duration assets in uncertainty because cash preserves optionality. Bitcoin attracts capital not because it is stable, but because it is portable, liquid, and asymmetric. Bubbles form when optionality appears abundant and collapse when everyone realizes the exits are narrower than they thought. Prices move before narratives because markets cross the membrane first. Stories come later to make people comfortable with what already happened. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. If you want to understand markets, stop asking what is right. Ask, what choice is hardest to undo? What position traps capital? What asset limits future moves? That is where pressure builds. Persuasion works the same way. You do not convince people with facts. You re-rank their decision tree. Every durable decision has at least two locks. The first is internal: identity, fear, status, self-image. The second is external: future consequences, reversibility, social cost. When the same choice scores highest in both layers, resistance disappears. This is why the most powerful phrases in persuasion are not arguments, but permissions. You can always stop later. There is nothing to lose. This keeps your options open. These are not tricks, they are keys. They lower the perceived cost of crossing the membrane. Self-discipline fails for the same reason. People do not lack willpower. They feel trapped. When a choice is framed as permanent, identity binding, or all or nothing, optionality collapses and the mind routes around it. Impulse is not weakness, it is escape behavior. The disciplined path only wins when it preserves more future freedom than indulgence. Saving is not sacrifice, it is buying options. Learning is not effort, it is expanding paths. Consistency is not virtue, it is maneuverability insurance. The smallest step that preserves tomorrow is almost always the correct one, not the heroic one, the reversible one. This is the full framework. Human beings are running a pathfinding algorithm under uncertainty. Past actions define the map. Constraints define the terrain. Optionality is the scoring function. Probability determines the route. And the critical moment, the only moment that matters, is when perceived optionality crosses the membrane and thought becomes action. Everything else is commentary. If you understand this, you can predict behavior without controlling it, persuade without force, design systems that people willingly adopt, and, most importantly, regain agency over your own life. Because once you see the mechanism, you stop blaming yourself for outcomes and start engineering better paths. You do not need better intentions. You need better optionality. Flint West signing off.